Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Economic Times Supply Chain Management and Logistics Summit 2015. In its second annual edition today, we have interesting panel discussions lined up where we have thought leaders from the industry highlighting on the unique features and requirements of this Indian supply chain management system to cater to the new, evolved India. And before moving further, I would like to thank all our partners and sponsors for the event. Now we have a welcome address by Mr. R. Subramaniam, the Senior Vice President and Country Manager for DHL Express India.
Very good morning to all of you. The Indian logistics industry, we feel, is poised for a 12 to 15% growth in the next 5 to 10 years. I think we're going to see a decade of growth for several reasons. Make in India is a big driver. The reforms is a second big driver. The changes, possibly especially GST when it comes in, is going to be a big change driver. I think we are all getting ready for the faster growth, and there is a lot of challenges, opportunities, and enablers and things which needs to be done so that we make this kind of a growth a reality and play our part in the Make in India ambition as well as the fast GDP growth which we are looking forward to in the next coming years. Today is one such opportunity and DHL is extremely pleased to present to you the Economic Times Supply Chain Summit. The government has done many reforms over the past 12 to 15 months in trying to reduce the overall cost of doing business in India. There are some encouraging movements in many avenues of which touch the industry and especially the logistics and service providers. And we're very thankful for that. And there is great intent we see, and we hope that this is going to accelerate in the coming months. On that note, I would like to thank all of you for joining us today, and I wish you all a productive and insightful session. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome our chief guest for the day, Mr. Kalraj Mishra, Honorable Minister of MSSME of Government of India, for the address to the audience. Sir.
भारत के वर्तमान प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हिंदुस्तान के बारे में कहा कि हम हिंदुस्तान को मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब बनाएंगे। उत्पादन के दो प्रमुख केंद्र जिनके द्वारा अधिकाधिक लोगों को हम सहभागी भी बनाते हैं और रोजगार भी प्रदान करते हैं। एग्रीकल्चर और इंडस्ट्री है। हम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब बनाना चाहते हैं। इसलिए केवल रोजगार ही नहीं, तो हम उद्यमी तैयार करना चाहते हैं। और इसलिए उद्यमिता की मानसिकता, ये लोगों के अंदर निर्माण हो, यह प्रयास है। और इसलिए स्किल डेवलपमेंट होगा, मेक इन इंडिया होगा। ये मेक इन इंडिया दुनिया के देशों में जाकर मेड इन इंडिया बने, वैश्विक बाजार में, ग्लोबल मार्केट में, उस कंपटीशन के अंतर्गत आपके माल को देखकर लोग कहें कि हाँ, इट इज मेड इन इंडिया, इसी को लेना है। ये मेड इन इंडिया इसी को लेना है, कैसे बनेगा? वो बनेगा जब आपका कार्य गुणवत्ता से युक्त होगा, क्वालिटी टेक्नोलॉजी का समुचित तौर पर उपयोग करते हुए उसको बनाने का प्रयास किया जाएगा, तो गुणवत्ता युक्त कहलाया जाएगा कि मेक इन इंडिया है, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब बनेगा, लेकिन जीरो डिफेक्ट और जीरो इफेक्ट के आधार पर बनेगा। प्रदूषण मुक्त, दोष मुक्त और इन्वायरमेंट फ्रेंडली, इस तरीके से अगर निर्माण कार्य हुआ, वो गुणवत्ता युक्त कहा जाएगा। एक एक व्यक्ति, एक एक इंडस्ट्री से अगर ये सोच करके काम करना शुरू कर दिया कि मेरा ये कार्य देश को विकसित देश बनाएगा, मेरा ये कार्य यहां के बने हुए माल को दुनिया के अंदर मेड इन इंडिया के रूप में कहलाया जाएगा, और आगे चल करके दुनिया के लोग कहेंगे अब हम सामान लेंगे तो हिंदुस्तान का लेंगे, बाकी का नहीं लेंगे। सब कठिनाइयों के पश्चात भी अगर ये भाव काम करता रहेगा, तो ग्लोबल मार्केट के अंदर अपने चीज को स्पर्धा में नंबर 1 पर करके दिखाने का सामर्थ्य हमारे अंदर है, और ये समिट उस दिशा में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका का निर्वाह करेगी। यही शुभकामना व्यक्त करते हुए आप सब लोगों को प्रणाम करते हुए अपनी बात में समाप्त करता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
And moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, our first panel discussion for the day, where our panel members will be speaking about creating solutions for the next generation business in transforming the Indian SCM system. I'd first like to welcome our moderator for the session, Mr. Abhishek Malhotra, Partner Consumer Industries and Retail, Asia.
Good morning, everyone. Nilesh, maybe we'll start with you. What's the biggest challenge you as a company face today from a supply chain and a logistics perspective?
Supply chain process essentially has three cells. It has got the input side, it has got the transformation, the manufacturing, and it has got the demand side, which is the consumer. The supply chain function has to deal with the growing uncertainty in each of these three areas. So I think that's the first big challenge that as a business enterprise that we face. The second challenge or a reality really is that in the entire supply chain process, the power is shifting more and more to the customers. There are two more challenges which I'll quickly touch upon. One is the availability of trained manpower in the supply chain fraternity. And last but not the least, the growing concern on environment and sustainability is another big challenge that as organizations we will face, which will also have a tremendous impact on supply chain.
So, Captain Sharma, you are involved in massive kind of, ports, ships, large kind of thing. From your perspective, one or two challenges that you face in the Indian supply chain context?
Specific challenges in ports, we are seeing our share of world trade is going to grow from 0.8% to 1.5%. It's a tremendous growth, and specifically in the port sector, we need a comprehensive and coherent strategy for location of ports. So challenge is whether, how do we address this challenge in the capacity building of the ports in a unified manner. Port is all but cargo and connectivity. Technology front, we all know that coal auctions are happening and a lot of movement of coal needs to happen from west coast to east coast to west coast. We need to have this Sagarmala project. That challenge where how state and center will collaborate with each other on this Sagarmala project, which will be a life-changing, pattern. And all this would probably address our biggest challenge of logistic cost, which is significantly high today. And we are probably losing $45–50 billion every year. So how we can save this money? If we don't address, probably we'll lose another $100 billion very soon.
Mr. Agarwal, what's one thing that you kind of face which doesn't let you meet all these high expectations?
If I talk about my company or something like that, we just drive 330 kilometers per day on average. And we have a capacity that is 625 or 600 kilometers per day. Definitely we can drive it. We have 1,000 vehicles. So like 70 lakh kilometers in 1 month we are driving. If we convert into 12 lakh kilometers per month, so कितना ज़्यादा फायदा हो गया. This we can pass to our consumers, our other stakeholders. We want to pass, but we cannot because 42% of our transit times is just under hurdles. जब हमारा ड्राइवर चलता है, उसको कोई दूसरी जगह जीप भी दिख गई, बोला RTO होगा, वो 3 घंटे खड़ा करता है. वो जब निकल जाते हैं, then he drives. किसका लॉस है 3 घंटे? The materials we are holding for 50 lakhs, 1 crore, ये 3 hours up to Madras, it goes 2 days, 3 days. 1 लाख का 60 लाख का मटेरियल 2 days होल्ड कर रहे हैं तो इंटरेस्ट कोस्ट कितना होगा? वहां जो कंज्यूमर से इंतजार कर रहा है उसकी क्या हालत होती होगी? आई एम पेइंग माई व्हीकल कोस्ट, दैट इज इंटरेस्ट कोस्ट फॉर 1 month. मैंने चलाया कितना? ओनली 7,000 किलोमीटर्स. तो जब 42% अननेसेसरी जस्ट RTO को इंतजार करते हुए कि वो कब निकलेगा, कब पास होगा तो मेरा ट्रक निकलेगा.
Mr. Shetty, anything to add?
For me, I think the biggest issue is how we can think ahead, how we can think big, how we can dream big, and how we can have proactive solution to all the issues that we face on a day-to-day basis. In spite of all that, I must compliment the logistic industry, the way the industry has grown and met up with the challenge that the industry faced with the growth of the business. Our transaction costs are still high, yes, but we can't really help beyond a point.
Subbu, from your perspective,
In the last decade or so, I think we've had severe constraints in the airport infrastructure. Yeah, but what has happened is we've got some fantastic airports now. Yeah, Delhi airport is possibly, they claim to be top 5 in the world, and Bombay is now competing to be as good as Delhi in terms of. But all these developments have happened on the passenger side. Yeah, cargo side, I think the airport infrastructure is in abysmal shape. And specifically on cargo, and specifically to recognize that express and courier as an industry, international supply chains need facilities which will allow efficiency. That's one big point which I wanted to speak about.
so Mr. Chatterjee, from your perspective as you deal with the industry and the sector, what are some of the challenges that you face?
The challenges, as I, from the government perspective, see is one, certainly the gaps and the inadequacies in the infrastructure, whether in the ports, both sea and air, the railways, and also the road infrastructure, and our ability or inability to cope with the further growth that has to be also catered to in all these infrastructure. Two, of course, availability of trained manpower. I also feel that skill sets of professionalism is something which is lacking. And third, from the government perspective, which we sincerely see as a major challenge, is our procedures have to be more transparent, simplified, more use of e-processes, and how do we do away with huge amount of discretionary powers.
Ashutosh, to end with you, I'll also ask you to kind of start with, in your view, one or two things that have changed.
One of the biggest challenge with the customs administration all over the world they have faced is how to offer facilitated treatment of vast majority of international cargo movements and passenger facilitation. At the same time, identifying and dealing with the small percentage that pose a genuine risk to the security and duty evasion. Now, rapid release of consignments which have met the condition laid down by customs, preferably by electronic means, is the greatest challenge which Indian custom faces. In India, there is a need to review the business processes in the customs and make them more taxpayer friendly. Central Board of Excise and Customs has taken various initiatives for trade facilitation over a period of time. CBEC has implemented EDI, Electronic Data Interchange Systems, or ICS, which has automated the workflow process related to clearance of import and export of consignments. Subsequently, it implemented IceGate to offer a host of services, including electronic filing of import and export documents and related electronic message between customs and the trade, and a document tracking system that enables the clients to know the latest status of their documents. Central Board of Excise and Customs has finalized the Authorized Economic Operator Program for implementation to secure supply chain of imported and exported goods in August 2011.
We ended the challenge part. Subbu, I'll come to you. Anything innovative that you as a service provider are doing, or you've seen other people do, that you'd like to share?
I think express industry itself is a huge innovation. But one point which I think increasingly it is becoming a big thing, I think it is direct to dealer and direct to market in a globalized environment. And there is collapse of what they call as warehouses in the middle and inventory in the middle. From a conceptual point of view, I think a GST regime will make manufacturers in the country, the trade in the country, to think in that direction. But I think that one innovation I want everybody to think about is that the collapse of warehousing and death to inventory. Yeah, that's the route for adding the fantastic percentages to your bottom line.
Nilesh, from your perspective?
I think an excellent innovation that we saw happening in the paint industry was the product design itself was made as a solution to the supply chain complexity. So today, if you see, when you go to a paint outlet, a paint dealer just has a base of paint which is available, And then there are stainers or tinters with which he mixes it and makes the color in the shade that you require. So the entire requirement of you to maintain an inventory of over 2,000 SKUs got collapsed into you only managing the base and the stainers, where you got in efficiencies and you were able to meet the consumer's requirement there and then. I think that was a fantastic innovation in the industry from a manufacturing setup that I have experienced myself.
Captain Sharma, from your perspective?
Recently, another initiative which government has taken is that they are trying to put in a scheme called Model Shift of Cargo, SIMSC model, that any of you would shift your cargo from road to rail or rail to water, you will get some grant from the government. And the last inland water route also, we have seen that some rivers which we use, where 2,000 ton of barges are going, how to take 8,000 tonners into the same river. That will bring a significant change in the logistic cost.
Mr. Agarwal, last comments?
Now we are making different type of containers. 100 cubic feet, 200 cubic feet, 300, 400, 500, up to 1,200. आप जितना भी कंटेनर लोगे, उसने कंटेनर में अपना सामान डालो, ताला अपना लगाओ, चाबी जेब में लेके जाओ, और यदि आपने दूसरा ताला लगा दिया, like digital log, you can send the mail to your counterpart, this is the so and so, and you will be charged only 4 feet in place of 20 feet. आप नहीं चार्ज करेंगे, you will be charged only 4 feet, 6 feet, जितना भी आपने है. So you will be happy to know that कि आपको जितना सामान है उतना ही देना है, और डेस्टिनेशन के ऊपर सपोज यू वांट टू होल्ड इट फॉर 10 days 20 days, जो 2,000 रुपीज पर व्हीकल जो पेमेंट होता था डेस्टिनेशन पर, नाउ ओनली हार्डली यू टू पे 10 रुपीज पर डे पर कंटेनर, और आप रखो 10 दिन, 1 महीना, 2 महीने, 3 महीने. इट्स रिलीफ फॉर अवर people who doesn't have their warehouse at destination.
Thanks a lot to the panel. Thanks a lot for the audience. Thanks everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our chief guest for the evening, Shri Anand Gite, Minister of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprise, to address the gathering.
यह आमंत्रण मैंने स्वीकार किया और यह विश्वास दिलाने के लिए मैं इस मंच पर आया हूं कि भारत सरकार की ओर से जो अपेक्षाएं आप करने जा रहे हैं, निश्चित रूप में आपको विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि हमारे जो प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में जो सरकार है, वो सरकार निश्चित रूप में आपकी अपेक्षाओं पर खरी उतरेगी. मैं एक बात का जिक्र सिर्फ यहां पर इसलिए कर रहा हूं कि आज पूरी दुनिया पर्यावरण के मामले में काफी सजग है, और इस पर्यावरण को देखते हुए एक स्कीम मेरे मंत्रालय द्वारा जो हमने अनाउंस की है इलेक्ट्रिक मोबिलिटी मिशन के तहत, और हम चाहते हैं कि भविष्य में जितने भी पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट है वो धीरे धीरे जो आज डीजल पर पेट्रोल पर चल रहा है वो इलेक्ट्रिक मोबिलिटी पर आ जाए, बैटरी ऑपरेटेड व्हीकल्स पर चले, और उस दिशा में एक सही कदम हमने उठाया है. लगभग 14,000 करोड़ की हमारी योजना है, और इस योजना को 1 अप्रैल 2015 से हमने लागू किया है. धीरे धीरे पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट हम इलेक्ट्रिक मोबिलिटी व्हीकल के द्वारा करना चाहते हैं, और भविष्य में जो हमारा कमर्शियल ट्रांसपोर्ट है, हम कोशिश ये करने जा रहे हैं कि हर ट्रांसपोर्ट हम इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल के ऊपर करें. उस दिशा में हम आगे कदम बढ़ा रहे हैं. आप विश्वास नहीं करोगे, 60,000 करोड़ से भी ज्यादा बचत हम फ्यूल में कर पाएंगे, और ये आने वाले कल की मांग है. इस ऑटोमोटिव सेक्टर की जो नीतियां हैं वो बनाने की जिम्मेवारी मेरे मंत्रालय की है, और इसलिए मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं कि आपके लॉजिस्टिक के लिए आवश्यक जो भी नीतियां बनानी हैं, उन नीतियों पर भी भविष्य में हम निश्चित रूप में विचार करेंगे. आपसे ही चर्चा करते हुए, आप लोगों से राय लेते हुए आने वाली समय की मांग को पूरा करने के लिए जो सही नीति, सही पॉलिसी अपनाने की आवश्यकता है, उसको निश्चित रूप में अपनाने का हम प्रयास करेंगे. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Shri Devendra Fadnavis, thank you so much for joining us here this evening. I would like to invite you to kindly come onto the stage and say a few words to the gathering here, please.
We are acknowledging those who have done good job in logistics, in supply chain management, and I feel that this is a very key area, because when our Honorable Prime Minister talks about Make in India, or when we talk about Make in Maharashtra, the only key to success is supply chain management. Recently, we entered into agreement with the central government to develop a new port near Dahanu. It will be a big port which would actually be coming into existence in Maharashtra after 30 years. It's bigger than JNPT with a deep draft of 20 meters. We have started working with World Economic Forum. We have entered into an agreement, a project called PPP IAD. It's a PPP project for integrated agriculture development, wherein we are trying to create the value chains for certain crops. We have entered MOU with Ruchi Soya, wherein they would cover around 250,000 farmers who produce soybean, 150,000 farmers who produce tomato, wherein entire supply chain network would be established. So I see a huge potential for the logistic industry, for the people who are in supply chain management in the state of Maharashtra. So let's partner together. Let's take our state and our country forward, and let's realize the dream of a developed India by 2020. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we come to an end this beautiful evening where we had a chance to also felicitate other states and private companies who are doing their best in the area of supply chain management and logistics. Thank you.
The supply chain and logistics industry serves as a backbone for a country's day-to-day functioning and is an essential contributor to GDP. As a mark of appreciation, the event witnessed felicitation of some states and their contribution towards the growth of supply chain management and logistics.
We have constructed bus stands throughout state, particularly in district headquarters, taluk headquarters, and we have started urban transportation first time in India. And last year, central government awarded best transport, urban transport for Northeast Karnataka, and best intelligent transport system for our KSRTC, and for new ventures, our BMTC, that is the Bangalore Metropolitan Transport Corporation.
We were one of the, I think we are the only state which has taken a JNRUM major share of 850 buses. So now the next step is to make it more sustainable. So it's sustainable, it's giving good service, it's giving efficient service, it is giving safe service. So my vision will be that my transport cater to give the facility to the people and provide the opportunity for the youth to adopt it as an measure of employment and their livelihood. So we are working in that direction.
I think such forums should be given a lot of importance because it brings a lot of industry people together on a forum or on a platform where they share ideas, they discuss the new trends, and they also discuss in terms of what is ailing in the industry or what kind of challenges the industry is facing. and this helps in terms of finding the better solutions for the overall community benefit.
Logistic market is a very essential component of the economy. Like they say, it's a barometer of the economy. And in the last 10 to 12 years, the logistic industry has evolved tremendously in terms of managing the growth of the business and the sector, which is hugely fragmented. Right? It's very hard to build a scale in this business, which many companies have been able to do.